Hey, hey, hey. Happy Tuesday. Come on in. Pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host, here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch. Brought to you by, incredibly enough, thegaminggang.com, of which I happen to be the founder and editor-in-chief. So, welcome aboard, everybody. Tonight is Tuesday, June 3rd, 2025. This is live stream 1196. We are rapidly closing in on episode 1200. Yikes! If you're not overly familiar with the show, let me point out it's super casual. We just hang out talking about the latest in tabletop gaming news, and then I will normally share some thoughts about something going on in our hobby, or maybe I'll unbox a board game or flip through a role-playing game book, which is what we'll be doing tonight, because we're going to dive on in and take a first look at Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay Deft, Steps, and Light Fingers from Cubicle 7 Games. Yes, we're going to dive on in and check out the latest release for Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. But of course, we always tackle the tabletop gaming news first. If you are hanging out because you want to see the first look, keep in mind it'll probably be about 35, maybe 40 minutes. So if you're watching live, just kick back, relax, enjoy yourself. If you happen to be watching on Memorex, there are timestamps. So depending on the device you might be using, those timestamps might be right there in the timeline of the video. Otherwise, they are down in the show notes. So if you want to skip past the news, which I got to say, we got some cool stuff cooking tonight. But if you're in a hurry, if you're watching on Memorex, you can use those timestamps. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit gaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you are not going to find here on YouTube. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. And of course, because this is a live stream, there is chat available. Of course, it's not on screen, so it keeps some of the more unusual commenters at bay, and you must be a subscriber to the channel for at least 10 minutes before you can take part in chat. Yet another way I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. But if you happen to check those boxes and you want to say howdy, maybe get a question, comment, by all means, chime in. I will do my very best to respond. First out the gate tonight is Mike. We also have Freddie P., Matthew Blackwell, and Coco B. And I wouldn't be surprised if the lovely and talented Miss Sarah D. wasn't lurking in the shadows. She is one of our chat moderators. She of the glittery banhammer. So behave. All right. And Hector Martinez is popping on in too. So let's jump on into the news, because earlier today, Free League Publishing launched a Kickstarter to bring 2 new Dragonbane releases to the public. Here's the scoop. First off, we've got Arkand, City of Waves and Flames, which features a rich, bustling setting. Over a dozen adventure sites spread across 5 districts, along with a number of campaign seeds, and even more adventure sites available to be unlocked as stretch goals through this Kickstarter. There's danger and intrigue. The player characters will experience a fierce power struggle in the city's underworld, take on the role of demon hunters, and uncover secrets about Arkand's storied past that could change the city forever. Arkand, City of Waves and Flames is written by Johan Joberg and illustrated by Johan Egerkrans and David Brazgala. And I apologize. I guarantee I have mispronounced at least one of those names. Also, as a stretch goal, this book will also include a separate full color map of the city. Then we also have the Book of Magic, because the Book of Magic adds at least 5 new schools of magic to your Dragonbane game, including Harmonism, Demonology, Necromancy, Witchcraft, and Illusionism, with more possible to unlock as stretch goals, as well as new spells for the existing schools of General Magic, Animism, Elementalism, and Mentalism. All featured schools of magic come with a wide range of spells, which now come in 5 ranks. Each school is also described with information about the practitioner's station and reputation in the world, and what kind of spiritus familiaris their members typically summon. And this is written by Matthias Johann Hockey and Matthias Lilia, who actually the creators of Symborum, with Thomas Harenstam as co-writer and editor. And of course, once again, illustrated by Johan Egerkrans and David Brazgala. Now, there is a very short Kickstarter video. It's not even a minute in length, but let's take a peek. The Kickstarter crushed its funding goal within minutes, and you can reserve both of the hardcovers with PDFs in either English or Swedish for a pledge of approximately $74. Or if you want to just score the PDFs alone, you'll be able to do so for a pledge of approximately $42 through June 26th. Expected delivery on the physical books is next April. Free League Publishing has indicated that a few months after this ends, you should start to see betas of the PDFs if you happen to back the project. So you'll probably have those in your hands before the end of the year, just so you know. Very cool. We talked about this a little bit last week because Free League Publishing had revealed they had a couple of books that they were going to kickstart. Kickstarter was going to launch today. But I didn't share any news about it till today because there really wasn't any news about this Kickstarter until, well, I had it last night. But of course, it was something that I kept under my hat until today. Because you know me, I like to share Kickstarter news once something launches or even a couple of days after it's launched so I can get an idea of how well the Kickstarter is doing. So there you go. There you have it. Max Apocalypse and Chris Lundgren with Buddy, his cockatiel, are with us, as is Kathy Evans and DB popping on in. Let's see. Hector Martinez asked, is this 5e? No, it is not. Dragonbane is its own IP. It's its own system. I have reviewed it. If you are curious about it, you can take a peek at my review for the core box set, which is now also available as a core book hardcover. So pretty cool, pretty nice. I will be looking forward to checking this out. All right. So Chris Linder is asking if anyone knows what's the difference between how Kickstarter works versus backer kit. They are extremely similar. I'll tell you one thing I'm not a big fan of with backer kit It's just, I don't know. I don't like crowdfunding platforms where the project can go without telling you when it's going to fulfill. And there have been backer kit projects that I've shared news for. There's absolutely no indication of when they expect to fulfill their crowdfunding project. I don't like that at all. So at least with Kickstarter, when you're taking a look at the pledge tells you when you should expect the fulfillment. Now, does that mean it's ever going to show up? No, of course not. Right? I mean, it's a crowdfunding project, but at least it's giving you an idea. So, speaking of crowdfunding projects, following a very successful crowdfunding run, landing in print this July for Dungeon Crawl Classics is Original Adventures Reincarnated #9, The Caverns of Thracia. And here's the latest from Goodman Games. A 1,000-year-old dungeon mystery waiting to be solved. The end of one empire sees the birth of a new one deep within the earth. Born in the forgotten chambers and caverns of age-lost Thracia, rises a formidable foe, the Minotaur King, along with his host of dog brothers, gnolls, lizard men, and others. Some say that even death itself lingers in the caverns of Thracia, ready to claim any who stumble upon its unholy chapel. The secrets of Thracia are manifold, its treasures thrice that. Do you have the mettle to survive the caverns of Thracia? The Caverns of Thracia is a complete mega dungeon setting that supports a full year of gaming. It will take characters from levels 1 through 5 in Dungeon Crawl Classics, which of course is essentially the equivalent of 10th level for 5e. It includes 6 vast dungeon levels, over 250 encounter areas, as well as more than 120 new monsters, plus over 40 new magic items, spells, and curses. Stretch goals even opened up the ruins, as well as an overland archipelago. Combat, exploration, and social interaction is also at the head of the Caverns of Thracia. So this is slated to arrive in July. I'm taking a guess. Might end up being late July. And strangely enough, I have conflicting MSRPs. One is $79.99. The other is $89.99. Let's see. You know what I'm going to do? I am going to take a peek at a retailer that I tend to trust. Let's see. They may not even have it, though. Nope. They do not. And I got to be honest, I don't know if you can find it over on Goodman Games. Strangely enough, Goodman Games kind of hides stuff around their store. It's kind of weird. It's sort of weird. Chris Leonard points out they love Dungeon Crawl Classics and Mutant Crawl Classics. And Sean O'Donnell, as well as Tessie Trekkie and the Madman, are with us tonight. The Madman's also one of our chat moderators. So very nice. You know, funny enough, what I would consider doing with the Caverns of Thracia, because I've been talking to the gang about maybe running Tales of the Valiant and maybe even doing it through Foundry. But I would actually consider maybe using Caverns of Thracia, or I should say, the Caverns of Thracia. I want to make sure I get the title correct here. But use it for the 5e edition, because there is a Dungeon Crawl Classics as well as a 5e edition that will be available. And, I would maybe port that over to Tales of the Valiant. Kind of wild. Kind of crazy, kind of goofy. All right, moving right along. Currently up on Humble Bundle is the RPG Game Master Book Series bundle from Topix Media Lab. And I have got the deets on the deal. Teach a game master new tricks. What makes a great game master? Experience, knowledge, resources, and excitement. Become a legendary GM with the all-new RPG Game Master Book Bundle. Elevate your skill set with endless insights from robust PDFs like the Game Master's Book of Random Encounters, the Game Master's Book of Traps, Puzzles, and Dungeons, the Game Master's Book of Astonishing Random Tables. Pay what you want and help support the Breast Cancer Research Foundation with your purchase. There are 11 PDFs on offer, which actually has a retail value of $135. You can pick them up, I should say, for a pledge of $15 or more. Essentially, it's a donation of $15 or more. And these savings will run through June 21st. Well. So it looks like it is a lot of, not maybe necessarily random tables in that, but quite a bit of not necessarily game master advice, but more game master resources. So there is that. Pretty nice. Sharon says, honestly, the old school difficulty level would probably suit Tales of the Valiant's differences with 5e. Yeah, because in Tales of the Valiant, your player characters are still powerful, but they still feel more like adventurers than with Dungeons and Dragons. Coco B said they're sad that there aren't going to be any more original adventures of old TSR modules. They were so hoping for Lost Caverns of Sokan. Coco B, don't even worry about that pronunciation because I think everybody pronounces it differently. Sochakanth, if I remember right, I think that's one of the pronunciations. Robert Santon's with us in chat. Welcome aboard. Pete Stracklich is also popping on in. So let's talk about another money-saving deal because Modiphius Entertainment has gotten together with Fanatical for a Dune Adventures in the Imperium role-playing bundle. And I've got the skinny on the savings. Welcome to the devious and dynamic world of Dune. Build your house, carve your place in the universe, and rebuild an ancient lineage and fight for the Imperial throne. Take your characters on a journey through the storied worlds of Frank Herbert's science fiction masterpiece. Fanatical is proud to partner with the magnificent Modiphius to be the first to bring you 16 role-playing game books, enabling you to dive into the vast world of Dune Adventures in the Imperium. Tier 1 offers the perfect introduction to the Byzantine world of the Imperium, with 3 introductory products to kick off your new role-playing game obsession. There's the Agents of Dune Deluxe Starter Set, a complete introduction to the world of Dune, containing everything you need to learn and start playing the game. You'll also unlock a quick start guide and Desert Fall Adventure, an introductory adventure that brings the player characters to Arrakis to prepare for the arrival of House Atreides. Tier 2 comes rumbling up from the sands with a total of 8 books to take your journey in Dune to the next level, with 4 standalone adventures, such as Kernels of Doubt, in which plots within plots continue to unravel until the truth or a vindictive lie is recorded in the annals of the Landsraad. Perfect for putting your characters to the test. Also, Unearthed is Sand and Dust. This source book takes you to the desert world of Arrakis and explores the secrets of the spice. And then there's Tier 3, which is where you'll find all the spice, because you'll be unleashing all 16 books, showcasing what Dune Adventures in the Imperium has to offer. Get to grips with the core rulebook standard edition, containing everything you need to create your own stories of intrigue and adventure on the sands of Arrakis as agents of a powerful noble house. You'll also receive Masters of Dune, an epic 166-page campaign that can be run on its own or as a continuation of the Agents of Dune box set. Play as the renowned House Nagara, or create a new house of your own to try and tame Arrakis. If that wasn't enough, you'll also get an exclusive offer to Fanatical, because everyone who purchases Tier 2 and above will actually receive a 70% off coupon on the physical Dune book content over at Modiphius.us. Excuse me, for some strange reason, they say Modiphius.com, but that would not be correct. Of course, terms and conditions will apply. You can discover all these and more in this excellent all-new bundle, but you need to act fast before a sandworm swallows this amazing offer. All products included in the promotion are redeemed through DriveThruRPG's official account. You can score all 17 items, one of those items being that discount, for $14.99. Yes, you have heard that correctly. $14.99 gets you just about everything that has been released, or it might even be everything that has been released for Dune Adventures in the Imperium. Well, well. Raven is with us in chat. Welcome aboard. Said, this is a perfect video to watch as they prepare for their Wifrip Enemy in Ruins session this Friday. Very nice. Very cool. I gotta say, I think the license with Modiphius is expiring. I think that is why you've got this offer floating around right now. And the reason why I say that is because of the discount coupon. Because normally what we'll see is like 15% off, 20% off. That's 70% off. And I should also point out, some of the Dune titles are sold out. So you're not going to be able to get everything in the run of physical books because they are sold out. Max Apocalypse has been hanging out with us, says, clearance on spice, all melange must go. I will also mention something about Dune in a few moments. Let's talk about our final news piece, because Traveler Rift Adventures 1 through 5 has landed in print and PDF from Mongoose Publishing, and I've got the lowdown. Deep in the Great Rift lie ancient mysteries, strange alien races, and human cultures who have not seen off-world contact in centuries. Portside rumors speak of giant creatures capable of interstellar flight and of starship wrecks belonging to no known race. Great Rift Adventures 1 through 5 provides a set of adventures that can be inserted into any ongoing campaign set in this region of the charted space universe, while showcasing the Great Rift and some of the worlds within. Inside this book, you'll find islands in the Rift. The travelers are sent to Amandiage in the Old Island subsector to pick up a starship. Their mission is to take it to Zulflik for transfer into Imperial space behind the Claw in Deneb, or the Trojan Reach. However, the task is not simple. The ship is not sitting on a berthing pad. It is, in fact, on an entirely different world and not in any flyable condition. There's also Deep Night Endeavor. Travelers board a derelict exploration vessel to locate fuel. With no way to get home, they discover there are survivors and that the ship has taken aboard a malevolent entity seeking to reach an inhabited planet. The travelers must simply try to escape, or they could attempt to destroy the entity, but they will face opposition from the original crew as well as the entity itself. We also have Flatlined. The travelers wake up from cold sleep after nearly flatlining and find themselves in a sinking ship on an unknown world. They must escape their predicament, make their way to safety, and hopefully find their way off the forlorn planet. And then finally, we've got The Lost Garden. The travelers visit Garden, an out-of-the-way world that was once the homeworld of the Salika. The travelers will have to delve into an ancient research facility to find the artifact their patron seeks and try not to bring the entire compound crumbling down upon themselves in the process. And then we've got, geez, I thought that was the last adventure. I guess this is the last adventure. The Undying, the traveler's journey to Rezdazek. I'm telling you got to take a look at this and see this. It's like that long. That's all like, in the Great Rift and into the arms of a Vargar doomsday cult who are hell-bent on not letting them leave the world. The travelers will need to work out a way to get off the world alive, avoiding the dangerous wildlife and the roving groups of cultists. The 214-page hardcover with PDF carries an MSRP of $49.99. I believe this is a pre-order at the moment. I don't think it's in stock, but you would get the PDF if you place your pre-order. And of course, if you just want the PDF, you can grab that over at DriveThruRPG for $29.99. Very cool. Very cool. 2,4,5-trioxin is popping on in. I understood some of those words. Raven says, damn, I might have to pick up that Dune bundle. Yes, yes. Very nice. Very nice. So that is it for the news tonight. Of course, I mentioned DriveThruRPG. Don't forget the Gaming Gang. Thus, the Dispatch is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you're going to visit, say, I don't know, DriveThruRPG, Storyteller's Vault, Dungeon Masters Guild, Wargame Vault, any of those fiction sites, any of the One Bookshelf sites, please stop by thegaminggang.com first. Click on one of our banners. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I get a small portion of that sale. And all those nickels, dimes, and quarters really do add up and help keep thegaminggang.com around. Also, if you like the video, if you dig the channel, if you find the Gaming Gang to be a valuable resource, hell, if you just like what we do have a Patreon. If you would like to support us on a monthly basis, you'll find the link to that in our show notes. And if you would just like to make a one-time donation, maybe you just want to buy me a bottle of soda. Oh, that's yummy. We also do have a donation link by way of PayPal, also in the show notes. Should also mention, if you have not joined our Discord server, be sure to pop on over. If you want to hang with the gang, yes, it's true. I do pop into the Discord server. I do comment. I do post things. I do answer questions people ask. And there are some channels there which are for members of our Patreon only. So there is that. Something else I wanted to mention is the game sale has launched. So the spring 2025 used game sale has launched. If you were a member or are a member of the Discord server, why would I say were a member? You're probably still a member if you signed up. So you had first dibs because I did not publicly announce the sale had started until today. So there are over 280 items which are available at this moment. This is to help fund our trip to Gen Con. In fact, the main way that we do go and cover conventions is by way of our game sales that we'll have from time to time. And I should also mention that everything that I've got listed for sale is going to go to the auction if people out there don't buy it. So these will be your only opportunities to get your hands on some of the items. Well, I shouldn't say some. Well, some of them are going to sell. But if there's something there that you're kind of interested in, it's not going to be around for another sale down the line like this winter or into next year or anything like that. So just letting you know. And of course, we were just talking about Dune. I have, I want to say 7 of the Dune books that are up for sale in the used game sale. So by all means, swing on over to thegaminggang.com to check it out. There is a little kind of ad right there on the front page, as well as the interior pages also. Agile Monk is with us tonight. Very nice. Welcome aboard. So tonight we are going to dive on in. We're going to take a first look at Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay Deft Steps Light Fingers from Cubicle 7 Games. But first, I think it's time for a brief intermission.
It's intermission time, folks. Time out for a delicious snack in our sparkling refreshment building. Every item a fresh, appetizing taste treat.
A smile can wake the sun up to what your world could be. And with every brand new moment, you're alive, you're feeling free. Make this day a celebration. Come and taste the Pepsi way. Life is what it should be when you have a Pepsi day. Come on, come on, come on and taste the Pepsi way. Come on, come on, come on and have a Pepsi day. Wrap a thirsty smile around it. Raise a Pepsi up and down it. Come on and have a Pepsi day. Come on and make this day a celebration. Come on, and join the Pepsi generation. Come on, come on, come on. Have a Pepsi day.
I, Maxwell E. Snavely, being of sound mind and body, do hereby bequeath the following. To my wife, Rose, who spent money like there was no tomorrow, I leave $100 and a calendar. To my sons, Rodney and Victor, who spent every dime I ever gave them on fancy cars and fast women, I leave $50 in dimes. To my business partner, Jules, whose only motto was spend, 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 I leave nothing, nothing, nothing. And to my other friends and relatives who also never learned the value of $1, I leave $1. Finally, to my nephew Harold, who oft-times said, a penny saved is a penny earned, and who also oft-times said, gee, Uncle Max, it sure pays to own a Volkswagen. I leave my entire fortune of $100 billion.
Help, help, my parachute won't open.
Try some Wilkins instant coffee. It'll give him a lift.
Calling spaceship. Report name and destination immediately. You are under our space control.
Okay, let him have it.
The bullets had no effect.
I'll try a gas grenade.
Here on the 13th moon of the planet Saturn are atomic forces that control the tides of all earthly desire. Within the moon's temple of love dwell the fire maidens of outer space, dedicated to the purpose of creating a new race of supermen and holding captive all who fall under their spell.
By the Lord of Atlantis, I am yours.
But theirs is a moon-mad evil love that makes victims of their own kind and puts them to the fearful ordeal by fire.
Yes. Yep. Another awful movie I'm sharing the trailer for. Yes. Pete Stracklich will be looking for that over on Tubi tonight. So before we jump on into taking a look at Whifrip, Deft Steps, Light Fingers, wanted to mention something that I always find to be kind of odd. So this is almost live stream 1200, and I've been doing the brief intermissions for at least half of those, I think. And I always say howdy, gang. And I'm always surprised how nobody ever says howdy back, except for one person used to hang around in our chat. Kabuki Kid would always be like, hi, Jeff. No one else does. Kind of surprised. I also find it kind of rude. Just letting you folks know. Just letting you know. All right, so tonight we are going to dive on in. We are going to take a look at Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, Deft Steps, and Light Fingers. I guess it's just Deft Steps, Light Fingers. It's like, well, there isn't a comma. I think in the DriveThruRPG listing, I think it does. 245 Trioxin says, honestly, I thought that was an auto-generated message. Jeez. Daryl Erritz with us. They said they got Deft Steps, Light Fingers. Heard it here first. Relighter Gamer is also popping on in. Hang on. Had to move something. Doing the sales stuff, I moved things all over the Duct Tape Studios over the weekend. So yes, having over 280 items really was like, wow. Anyway, this 144-page hardcover with PDF carries an MSRP of $39.99. You can grab just the PDF alone for $19.99. Now, weirdly enough, some distributors are saying that this won't be in stores until late this month. But I do know other people already have it. I think maybe they only have the PDFs. I do not know. Chris Leonard says they've got the Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay starter set. It does include some character creation. Can we use the supplements with the core book? Well, you mean with the starter set book? To save money? Not really. You really should have the full core book. Really. W4J asks, if you change the title of Deft Fingers Light Steps, Would it change the content? Funny enough, that's how I wanted to say it before when I was sharing news about it. And I was like, yeah, it's Deft Fingers Light. Wait, no, that's not it. Raven says they've got both. So there you have it. Some people got it. I don't, like I said, I don't know. Some distributors are indicating that they will not have this until the end of the month. So Daryl Irrit says they got their hard copy a few days ago too. All righty, so let's dive on in and take a peek. So we're going to swing on over to the other camera because here I've got Deft Steps Light Fingers. Just want to mention before we get stuck in that my friends over at Cubicle 7 Games were kind enough to provide me with this review copy. But neither I nor anyone else affiliated with the gaming gang has received any other sort of compensation for me to share this coverage with you. And it's important you know that. We're also not going to look at each and every page of the book, but I do want to give you a really good feel for what you're going to find inside. Chris Lindgren says, bummer, I just can't buy another core book right now. I would say keep your eyes peeled if you don't mind the PDFs, because Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay does get bundles from time to time, and they tend to be over at Humble Bundle. So you will get a bunch of stuff at a really nice price. So DB says, look at those light fingers. I don't crack my knuckles. I like the artwork on this cover here where it's like, oh, these guys are just riding through the forest. And it's like, oh, look at who's lurking in the shadows. Also want to point out, this is, I believe, a player and game master facing book. So there, to my knowledge, I don't think there are any adventures in here. So I don't think we're going to spoil anything by paging on through. Deft Steps Light Fingers from city underworlds to the savage wilderness. Rogues haunt the teeming slums of cities such as Marienburg, Altdorf, and Nuln. These individuals do not make their living through honest labor, but through trickery, extortion, or theft, driven to crime by poverty, sloth, desperation, or malice. Many rogues worship Ranald, the multifaceted god of tricksters, while many in the Empire secretly utter prayers to him for good luck. Ranald's worship and cult are far from respectable and banned in many provinces. Rangers make their living traveling the wild places of the old world and living off the land. They face many dangers in the wilderness, but the skills practiced by those who rove the countryside are invaluable to adventuring parties. A journey through the old world's forests, swamps, and hillsides always has its perils, but skilled explorers and hunters can mitigate many hardships. Tal, the god of the wild, is often beseeched by rangers and their ilk. That's going to tell us what we're going to find inside, but you know what? I'm not going to read that because we're going to take a peek. We're going to see for ourselves what's in here. Kevin R. Smith is popping on into chat. So has William Hellhayes. William H. is with us. So as Kevin says, just in time for the first look. So we get our end paper has the Grand Principality of the Reichland. This is a new map, or at least, let me rephrase that. It's new to me. I don't believe I've seen this map before as the end papers to a book. It's always cool to see new releases for Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. I happen to be a big fan. I really do like Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay a lot. It is a very unique game. It can be kind of tricky, I think, for some folks out there, especially game masters. I think it's the success levels that throw people off. I think that's mainly what it is. So, first of all, we're going to take a look at our credits page. A lot of folks worked very hard to bring this to life. So let's give credit where credit is due. So it looks like we've got the breakdown here is the Cult of Renaud, burglary, chicanery, and fraud, criminal contacts, organized crime, the Cult of Tal, laws, outlaws, and bounty hunters, pathfinding, and then we have hunter and hunted. So obviously enough, we're going to have a bunch of new careers. So that's going to be pretty cool. So we're going to start off. Here we got the Cult of Renaud. Renaud the trickster mocks the pomposity of other gods, bringing luck, but also misrule. His worshippers aren't members of structured cults like the other old world gods. They have a personal relationship with the trickster and commune with him on their own terms. Renaud's priests may have followers and preach parables, but there is little formal hierarchy or dogma to his worship. So Renaud is not necessarily an evil god. He's sort of, memory serves correctly, he's more along the lines of a Loki sort of deity in a Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, as opposed to being like a chaos god, because that he is not. So William H. says, game masters are scared. Daryl says, Marienburg will be a great setting, or Marienburg will be a great setting for this book. Yeah, nice to see that, as far as we can tell, there are no plans by Cubicle 7 Games to abandon Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, which is essentially, this is our 4th edition of the game for the old world role-playing game that is it coming out this summer? I don't know, because I hear back and forth on it. I thought they were trying to shoot for a Gen Con release. I don't know if we're going to see that. But of course, as always, I will be interviewing Cubicle 7 Games at Gen Con. And it's my understanding that we will see Dominic McDowell once again. So that should be where, I was going to say, that should be who I interview. Although, it might also be T.S. Luckhart too. So we got the Renaudin temples. We have a priest of Renaud. So we do have some blessings. We have miracles. So some of the miracles, we've got bamboozle, talk your way out, unremembered face. Kevin R. Smith says they assume he's supposed to be partially based on Reynard, the trickster fox figure of folklore. Yeah, I would think that's probably the case. Okay, so we're going to get into our new careers. So we've got our thief priest, our gambler priest. Here we got some of the miracles of the night prowler. The heat is off. We have miracles of the gamester. Force the hand of chance. Up the stakes. We have a trickster priest. Renaud's trickster priests dance through life, spinning a web of falsehoods, hiding the truth behind layers of deceit, and playing elaborate tricks on the unwary. This is not merely to bamboozle or con others. It should entertain, bring a smile to those around them, and show them that nothing should be taken at face value. We've got the liberator priest. And then we've got the miracles of the deceiver and protector. So there is some overlap, some redundancy with these miracles, because I see Unremembered Face once again, Bamboozle once again. It's like we've got some random tables here for pickpocketing. So here we've got our burglary, chicanery, and fraud. Scenes by Omnic is with us in chat. Welcome aboard. So we've got burglars, thieves, and downtime. Criminal lifestyles are less stable than those followed by law-abiding citizens. Adventure and dramatic twists of fortune may occur to characters following careers in the rogue class because of the manner by which they make their money. Due to this, whenever certain downtime events or endeavors occur, the game master may require a rogue to see if additional complications occur due to the manner by which they make their living. We've got some things such as accused ally. Oi, you spilled my point. Well, that's another one. Betrayed. Some of the tools of the trade for burglars. Glass cutter, smoke bomb, telescopic stick. We also have a treasure hunter. Tomb robbers and treasure hunters. One thing I always notice with our Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay supplements is they tend to be packed with content. They're always just jam-packed with things that you're going to be able to use. So here we got the forger. Forgers are craftsmen who use their skills to create fakes. Most begin small, such as clipping coins to mint their own. From there, they move to impersonating the handwriting of a Marienburg merchant or the seal of an elector count. It's dangerous work, but accomplished forgers walk a fine line to riches. With the right documents, a skilled artiste can produce as many counterfeit paintings and knockoff sculptures as a rich fool will pay for. Then we get into our criminal contacts. So fences, forgers, and counterfeiters. Get a new endeavor, establishing a contact. So, of course, as your adventurers travel across the region, moving to different cities and stuff like that, that would be an endeavor for them to find a new contact. So William H. asks, how does the book feel? Paper stock's nice. It's solid, as we normally will expect. It's not Free League Publishing thickness, which really the reality is none of the role-playing game publishers out there use paper stock that's as heavy as we see with a lot of the Free League Publishing. But I'll tell you what, this is certainly not the thickness that you would see with Wizards of the Coast or even Paizo Inc. So we've got that. As you can see, there's a little tiny bit of sheen to the paper, but not a lot. So you're not seeing a bunch of glare from this either. And it also has, I don't know if that's stitched. Yeah, I think it's stitched. No, actually, I don't think it is. So I don't think that this is a stitched binding. I think it's glued. But I'll be the first to point out, I've never had any of the Cubicle 7 books come apart on me, ever. Okay, so here we are in the organized crime section. And as you can see, artwork throughout. Doesn't look like we've got a ton of artwork, but that's usually the case with Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. We'll get, normally we'll see more of the grayscale line art than full color art. Of course, then we get a full color page here and here. But still, okay, so now we've got the Cult of Tal. So I want to say, I think the first half of the book is more criminal elements. That is our light fingers. And I believe the second part of this book is going to be more about rangers and those who pursue careers in the wild. So here we've got the Cult of Tal. The old world is a wild place, and the god Tal is lord of nature. He has dominion over the beasts of land, air, and river. I was going to say, the prince a little small. The weather moves according to his whims and mood. Even earthquakes and landslides are Tal's to command. To the people of the old world, Tal and his wife Reese are the creatures, or I should say creators of all living things, the most ancient of their gods. So we get a breakdown of our old gods and our classical gods and our other gods like Sigmar and Reynald. So we're going to get some more information about various different orders and sects, holy days. We should get some new careers, some new magic. Looks like an NPC here. Father Pedragar. So we have the Ranger Priest of Tal. And some new miracles. Laws, outlaws, and bounty hunters. The laws of the Empire are many and varied, depending on where a crime is committed and by whom. It could result in a thorough investigation followed by a serious trial and stiff consequence, or a more distillery procedure that allows wrongdoers to get away with murder. One of the things I like about the starter set, and I wonder if Chris Lundgren wants to chime in on this, is the adventure to get everybody started, where the player characters are accused of a crime and they have to go before a judge. And it's a really, in my opinion at least, I think it's a really nice way to bring the player characters together as a group without, having to be like, oh, okay, you guys are guarding a merchant's caravan, those, or you're in a tavern someplace, you're at an inn. No, I actually think the starting adventure, the introductory adventure, is pretty fun. And I did run it for the gang, and they got a big kick out of it. They really did. So we're going to get into our bounty hunters. In the Empire, anyone can take on a bounty contract. No license or guild membership is needed, though established professionals are more likely to win, bids for warrants. Veteran hunters receive jobs on reputation alone, while rookies loiter around courthouses looking menacing. Many bounty hunters take other jobs between contracts or travel between the provinces in search of lucrative warrants. Nice. Are we going to get some new careers? So we're going to Apostle Patron or Nemesis. All right, pathfinding. So this is where we're going to get into wilderness travel. Travel events. It's like this is going to be some random tables with these kind of breaking down into like monolith, ancient tombs. And then you'll roll randomly. 10-sided die, it looked like. Journey endeavors. Travel endeavors. So we've got camp endeavors such as cooking, journaling, making camp, recuperating, the watch. Hey, we got a mule skinner. There's a new career path here. The land trade routes of the empire could not function nearly so well, or even at all, without the presence of the mule skinners. They get their name from their ability to cajole those famously stubborn beasts of burden. But mule skinners are just as likely to work with horses, donkeys, oxen, and more exotic animals. Yeah, mule skinners always skinned mules. That's why they're called mule skinners. They're not drovers. Max Apocalypse says Mule Skinner is their favorite local bar band. So we've got different hounds. So we're going to wrap up. I think this was the final section, Hunter and Hunted. So we have hunting as far as if you were hunting for your provender. We also have hounds, hawks, impressing one's peers. So it must be like an organized hunt. We've got the gamekeeper. Gamekeepers are charged by their noble masters to look after their estates and the beasts upon it and to prepare them for the hunt, as well as managing the land to make it attractive for potential quarry. They must also guard that land from poachers. Though gamekeepers are likely to be from the same community as poachers, perhaps sympathetic to their needs, woe betide if their master has a poor hunt. It is vital that they keep their master's stock safe, even as their neighbors go hungry. Well. And then we follow up with the poacher. Many common folk in the old world believe that beasts and birds are sent by Tal to feed any with the wherewithal to catch them. In the empire, however, whoever owns the land claims to own the animals that walk upon it, and even the birds that fly above it. From a poacher's point of view, this is not how things should be, and it is certainly not what the gods intended. Nice. DB says, I really like this edition of Wifrip. I agree. I'm a big fan as well. So DB says, looks like a lot of good stuff in here. They're probably going to pick this one up. Said, but if they ever have to move, they're in trouble. These books are heavy. They're not too bad. They tend to clock in 128, 144, 160 pages or so. But there are a lot of them. Oh, yes, DB says. And there are lots of them. Yes. Which is cool. I like to see that Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay gets a good amount of love from Cubicle 7 Games. So that is a peek inside Deft Steps Light Fingers for Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay from my friends over at Cubicle 7 Games. Of course, I will have a review of this in the not too distant future. Sweet. All righty then. So if you're curious what's going on the rest of this week, tomorrow we're going to dive on in and we are going to take a first look at the Traveler Core Rulebook 2022 update. That's right. Big thank you to Liv over at Mongoose Publishing. She sent me a copy of the updated core book as well as the Paranoia core book from the most recent edition that came out. It was like, we had a couple of years ago now, but it's fairly new. We will take a look at Paranoia next week. And then on Thursday's show, we are going to take a look at Acheron from Dark World Studios. That is a pretty thick book. I want to say this is kind of a post-apocalyptic science fiction-ish role-playing game. It looks very unique. Show you a little on the back here. So we are going to dive on in and take a peek at this on Thursday's show. So there we go. Raven says they really like Stars Without Number for their generic science fiction gaming. I have never taken a peek at it. So I do understand that it's really more along the lines of kind of an idea generator more than anything else, with all the random tables and such, as that's my understanding. But I've actually never had an opportunity to take a peek at any of the signed nominee games out there, any of the Kevin Crawford produced or designed games. But I am a fan of Traveler. I go way back. I had the little black books. I had the little black box. I picked it up in 81. I want to say I picked up the little black box in 1981 at a store called the Sutler's Wagon, which I've talked about in the past as well. It was kind of our high school game store that we went to, because they carried a lot of different stuff. They carried role-playing game stuff, but they also carried a good number of war games and that. And then one day they were just gone. It was like, what? It's like, okay. Raven asks, what did you think of Traveler, the New Era? I remember taking a look at it when it first came out. And if I remember correctly, it just left me scratching my head. I was sort of like, it's like Mega Traveler was kind of the same, where it's like, it's like, what? DB says, they're free, Jeff. Yes. Yes, I understand. The art-free editions are free. And the paid editions have artwork and additional material. So there is that. So Chris Lundgren asks, didn't I once mention a cheap way to buy into Traveler? Yes. Same way for you to keep an eye peeled to get into many different role-playing games through bundles. Humble Bundle will normally once a year, at least once a year, they will have a Traveler bundle. You got to jump on it then. Same thing with Pathfinder. But you got to keep in mind, these are PDFs. So if you're somebody who's like, no, I got to have a physical book, the only way for you to get on board inexpensively, well, okay, I'm not going to, let me rephrase that. Let's not say inexpensively. Let's say at a lower cost would be looking at conventions. And if they have like white elephant sales or used game sales or game auctions. So as an example, if you're somebody who's looking to, I'm just going to use as an example, right? If you're somebody who's like, yeah, you know what? I would like to get my hands on a bunch of 3rd edition D&D stuff. So we're not talking about stuff that's like old enough, like 1st edition, where you're looking at about $100 for a nice copy of one of the core books, at least $100. You're looking at, well, you could probably pick one up that's usable, right? Might be dinged up, but you could probably pick it up for about $10. That's one way you can get in if you want physical books. eBay used to be a great resource. Now it's super hit or miss, because you're going to pay top dollar usually for like older role-playing game books. Now, if you were looking to, say, get into Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, once again, Humble Bundle will normally at least once every year have a bundle that features Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, and it features almost everything. You're never going to see a bundle that's got everything in it, but you will find bundles that have a vast majority of the releases. So as an example, if you wanted to check out Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, next time you see a bundle pop up, you will usually see that there is the starter set, the core book, the Enemy in Shadows, all 5 of those releases. So you got that huge mega campaign, the famed campaign. You'll also see, usually there's like some of this, like this regional source books, and you might see some like, what is it? Rough Nights and Hard Days, or Hard Days, Rough Nights. It's one of the first books that came out for 4th edition, and it has a bunch of adventures in it. That's always part of it. And normally you can grab all this stuff for like $25. 25, maybe $30. So that is how you get on board these role-playing games without spending an arm and a leg. But the thing is, you gotta pay attention to the bundles when they pop up. Now, Paizo Inc. will run bundles fairly often. It's usually at least once a quarter. You'll see that. So if you were looking to get on board like Pathfinder 2nd edition, you can normally get on board about once every 3 months or so. But other stuff, Chris Leonard says used bookstores as well. I got to be honest, used bookstores, they know what they've got. So I'll give you a prime example, like Half Price Books. Half Price Books, I've been in a few times to a couple of different Half Price Books, and I was not impressed by their pricing. It was like, really? They had some, I want to say it was 4th edition D&D books, because it's a real, real hodgepodge. And they were asking 75% of the MSRP on 4th edition D&D books. And I was like, what? I was like, really? Now, of course, you might have stores like when I lived in Arizona, we had Bookman's. And Bookman's was a place where you could go and buy used books, movies, CDs, they had like video games, all that kind of stuff. And it was really nice. Price-wise, they usually priced stuff at about half the MSRP of the book, unless it was something that was valuable. Because all they did was they would look stuff up on eBay to price things. So that was it. Raven says, Sign Nominate even has Spears of the Dawn. It's a fantasy Africa role-playing game, and it seemed like they actually did some research on it. I just shared a bundle last week. It should still be going on. I think it's a bundle of holding, and it is for the Sign Nominate books, and that is one of them. Worlds Without Number, Stars Without Number, I think it's Cities Without Number is also, there's like 7 games overall, and I think you could get all 7 for like $20. Scarlet Heroes was another one. So, but yeah, that is how you get on board role-playing games that have been out for a while without having to spend an arm and a leg. Got to go PDF, or you got to keep your eyes peeled as far as being able to pick stuff up used. Scenes by Omnic says, for physical stuff, they tend to wait on Black Friday, used through Amazon or odd events like used game sales or odd stacking codes, timing online. Black Friday can be hit or miss too. Sometimes you can get some smoking deals on Black Friday. And then on other stuff, it's sort of like, really? Okay. I tend to find from Amazon, the Black Friday deals tend to focus on board games more so than tabletop role-playing games. But yes, Raven says that bundle even has Silent Legions, which is kind of their Call of Cthulhu clone. Nice. Like I said, I would love to check out these like Stars Without Number, Worlds Without Number, Cities Without Number. I know there's, I forget what the title is. It's Kevin Crawford's latest, where it's post-apocalyptic. It's something without number. So we know that. But it's not out yet because it crowdfunded. I shared news about it. Josama85 says they got some Pathfinder stuff on sale cheap because it was dinged or dented from Walmart and eBay. That's something else to keep in mind. Ashes Without Number. Thank you. Relighter Gamer says price beyond numbers. Well, you know, the base is free. That's one thing I always got to say is pretty cool about Sign Nomine is the without number books, without artwork and some additional content. They're always free. Shazam85 says also Goodwill. I have never seen anything good at Goodwill as far as gaming stuff. Like they always have tons of board games and it's always like little kiddie games. And I have never found any game books at Goodwill. I don't know. I mean, you know, it's just, it depends on where you're at. Like like I started to say, when I was in Arizona, there was Bookman's, and I want to say they had 3 locations. I think one of them was in Tucson, one was in Mesa or Tempe, one of the two, because they were right next to each other. And then another, I think, was in Glendale, which wasn't that far. And that was an excellent place to go find used games. But the thing is, it was just a crapshoot. So you try to go in. What I would always do is I go in like once a week and just take a peek to see. And there'd be stuff that had been sitting there forever. And then you'd see, oh, hey, that's new. But they would always have probably about 200-300 game books. That was quite a bit. Little Britain says they picked up about 100 Dragon magazines at a Goodwill once. Man, that's pretty cool. Wow, that's a nice find. By the way, welcome to chat. Good to see you once again. All right. So that is it for tonight's show. But that would be my advice. If you want to get on board a new game, always take a peek at a couple of times a week. Check out Humble Bundle, look at books, and then Bundle of Holding. Humble Bundle always has the absolute best bundles with like huge amounts of books. They did, I think the last Pathfinder bundle they did was like 80 PDFs. And it was all like $30, $35, something like that. So, oh yeah. So really, really nice. Okay. Anyway, so as I mentioned, tomorrow we're going to dive on in. We're going to take a look at the core rulebook for travel. This is the 2022 update. We'll be taking a peek at that. I'm looking forward to getting a look inside. Now, of course, I did review the starter set, which was the core book broken into 2 halves, but that came out before this update. So I'm kind of curious what sort of changes may have taken place. So we're going to take a peek at that. All righty then. So if you're watching live, thank you very much. If you watch live and took part in chat, bigger thank you, because not only are you keeping me company, you're keeping each other company as I'm sharing the news or flipping on through a book or unboxing a game, what have you. But of course, I know a lot of folks out there, you don't have an opportunity to watch live. Doesn't matter if you're watching live or on Memorex. Thank you for taking time out to watch any of the over 2,200 videos here on the channel. I know, it's pretty amazing as we rapidly approach our live stream number 1200, which I think I will also do some giveaways. But you got to be watching live to be able to take part. So keep that in mind. Also, if you'd like to support the Gaming Gang, we do have a Patreon. You'll find a link to that down in the show notes. There's also a link to PayPal if you'd just like to make a one-time donation. We welcome that as well. And of course, be sure to hang with the gang over on Discord. That's right, we've got a Discord server, and the invite link is also down in the show notes. Also, don't forget, I have launched the used game sale for spring 2025. That is how we are going to fund our trip to Gen Con this year. So there are over 280 items on sale, and that's going to run through June 30th. Hooray! If you like the video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and if you do subscribe, don't forget, ring that bell. It'll not only let you know when the Dispatch streams live, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings right here on YouTube at 7 p.m. Central. It'll also let you know when I share reviews such as the upcoming Call of Cthulhu, the Sutra of Pale Leaves, Twin Suns Rising review, which you will see later on this week. Wow, it took me a minute to make sure I remembered that entire title, but I got it. I did not butcher it. Thank you. So, everybody, enjoy the rest of your evening, morning, afternoon, whatever time of day it is in your neck of the woods. Hopefully, I will see you tomorrow. But, of course, I'm Jeff McAleer. Thanks for watching. I certainly hope all of you get to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.